Yesterday was Kellen Moore's introductory press conference, and we already broke down my takeaways and my full thoughts around the 40-minute press conference. But there was one part of it specifically that got a lot of fans fired up, and it was about Derek Carr. And Kellen Moore, he did not commit to Derek Carr one way or another on whether or not he would be the starting quarterback next year. So when it comes to the future with Derek Carr, there's been a lot of rumors, and, there's been some trade speculation, there's been some free agency stuff, and, the reports around DC4 are that if he were to be available, if the Saints were to make him available via a trade or in free agency, he would have interest from multiple teams, and that's not shocking. Gonna call a spade here. Derek Carr is a league average quarterback. He is aggressively average. He's not going to go and win you playoff games, but he's certainly not going to keep you at the bottom of the National Football League. So with Carr, I expect him to have some sort of interest. He's been in the league for so long. Of course he's going to have interest from other teams. But, the Saints specifically, if you were to cut him and make him a post-June 1st designation, you actually save $30 million this season. The alternative is either A, let him roll with the $50 million cap hit, or B, you restructure him. So you have three options. You restructure, you cut, or /trade, or you just leave that $50 million. And I don't think that the latter is going to happen. So we'll have to see what happens. But, Kellen Moore, kind of just adding some context around here, he is very excited about the future for the New Orleans Saints. He says it's an exciting future of New Orleans football. The number one goal is to create an environment that allows every player, coach, and staff member to be their best. And one of the things that I mentioned yesterday was that the deal with Kellen Moore is he's building a culture. And if you want to build a culture, it starts from the top and it goes all the way to the bottom of the guys who are cleaning the toilet seats. Everyone has to be all in on this in order for it to win. Everyone has to be bought into the idea, into the mentality that Kellen Moore is trying to bring. And we've got a hint as to what to expect from Kellen Moore's offense. Next year, it's going to be smart, it's going to be fast, it's going to be physical, and you can see that based off of how Kellen Moore's offenses have looked over the past few years. Through 4 seasons with the Cowboys, a season with the Chargers, and a season with the Eagles, every year, top 10 in no-huddle rate, top 10 in neutral pace, and top 10 in offensive plays per game. But in 5 out of those 6 years, top 10 in points per game and yards per game. So Kellen Moore's offenses, they pride themselves in being efficient. They pride themselves in scoring. They pride themselves in being effective and catering to the skill sets that you have on the roster. And Kellen Moore specifically said this team is full of superpowers, and they just got to unlock each one of them. He says that he thinks this is a talented roster. Throughout this season, you've seen it. Obviously, injuries were a challenge this year, and those things sometimes are challenging, uncontrollable circumstances. And, there's no mystery. Up until the point where, Eric McCoy getting hurt, that kind of started everything. The very first, second, third play of the Eagles game in week 3, that didn't go well. That's when Eric McCoy got hurt. And then after that, it was the snowball effect of more and more and more injuries piling up. And then in week 5, you lose Derek Carr for a few weeks due to an oblique injury. So, yeah, I think the Saints were actually fine in those first 2 weeks. The first 2 weeks, obviously, phenomenal football. Bad teams. It's okay. That being said, when you played in week 3 against the eventual Super Bowl champions, guess what? You almost won that game. You should have won that game. You had control over that game for a good portion of it, but you let it slip away. So Kellen Moore, adding more here, it's obvious that this team is a talented squad. They have playmakers. They have players that can be effective. However, you just got to bring it out of them. And Kellen Moore wants to embrace the good sides of our roster. He doesn't want to lose those things. He wants to continue to build for the future while also keeping things intact as it is. But he didn't commit to Derek Carr either way. He didn't say, I'm keeping Derek Carr. He didn't say we're moving on from Derek Carr. All he said was that he respects Derek Carr and that he likes what he had to say. And, I think with Derek Carr, he's a player that it's just hard to justify bringing him back. It's a completely new regime. No, the head coach just brought you in. He's not a part of this anymore. You clearly are building something for the future. Derek Carr, he's been in the league for 11, 12 years at this point. That is not a young player that you can build the future for. That is a guy that you bring in if you're trying to win right now, and that's not where the Saints are right in this current, moment. Here's exactly what Kellen Moore said about the Saints quarterback. Carr is a tremendous starting quarterback in this league. I've had so much respect for him, the journey that he's been on. Really excited to team up with him and go through this process. And so just like any other player on this roster, I just got here a few days ago. And I'm excited to go through this journey with all of them. So, in my opinion, I think that Kellen Moore is doing things the right way. I think whenever he does these things, it builds a culture. You're not going to go out of your way and say, yeah, Derek Carr, he's a bad player. We don't want nothing to do with him. No, he's giving him the respect that he deserves as a tenured veteran in the league, giving him his flowers, saying I'm excited to talk with him, but he's not revealing what the plan is because he hasn't talked with Derek Carr what the plan is. It's actually, in my opinion, a really good look to sit down, have a conversation with Carr and say, all right, here's what I'm thinking. Where do you stand on this? How are we going to make this work? Does it work? No? Okay, let's split. It's probably best for both parties. Like, I really appreciate Kellen Moore for wanting to have that conversation before, laying out any sort of details of what will happen with Carr. I really respect that about him. And to be honest, maybe I'm overlooking that, but that doesn't feel like something Dennis Allen would have done. I think he just would have started munching Derek Carr's butt and just been like, yep, he's the guy. But so they mentioned the process. What exactly is the process? Well, Ross Jackson asked Kellen Moore, and this is kind of what it meant. Conversations with each player. He's going to talk individually with every player on the roster, from offense to defense to special teams. Every single person is going to have a conversation with the new head coach. Great move by Kellen Moore. On top of that, he has to build out his coaching staff. He's not in a rush to make it happen. He's kind of in a point where he can pick and choose who he wants and kind of build it. They're not in any sort of time crunch. He even said we could be here in March and April and I still got to make a few decisions. They obviously hired a tight ends coach already, but there's still things that have to come into play here. We don't have an OC. We don't have a DC. A lot of key, parts of the coaching staff has yet to be filled out. And then lastly, constructing the roster. You got to build it in the draft. You got to build it in free agency. You don't have a lot of money to spend, but you have to fill out a roster. So how are you going to do that? Well, Kellen Moore, I hope you're good at puzzles because this is going to be one that you're going to have to figure out, my friend. Really quick, I got a really cool shirt for you. And honestly, Kellen, if you're watching, you want to get 40% off, we got you covered. Go to chatsports.com/SaintsLS. That's Saints long sleeve. LS to make it easy for you. It's Nike. It's fresh. It's 40% off, dude. I mean, are you kidding me? Look at that. It's so nice. I'm probably going to go ahead and order myself one. Maddie, it's Valentine's Day. If you dropped the ball, if you forgot something, got a link for you, 40% off. Just saying. Get yourself geared up from Fanatics right here. Links in the comment and description of this video. Alrighty, so with Derek Carr, I'm just going to kind of just round things out by saying this. I genuinely could see this going either way. I could see him coming back. I could see him getting cut. I could see him getting traded. I could see him getting restructured. All of those are options that I think could happen. I don't think there's anything that's truly off the table, especially considering how tough his contract is to get out of. Shout out to John Sigler. He put out an awesome write-up about how the Saints can get into cap compliance, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough if you man it with the Derek Carr contract. I'm just saying, I could see this going either way. But personally, if I'm the decision maker and I'm Mickey Loomis, I'm cutting Derek Carr. I'm saying, you know what? We tried it. We gave it a good run. It didn't work. It's better for the long term. I'm not really interested in trying to win a Super Bowl next year. That's not what's going to happen. I'm interested in making the playoffs. I'm interested in winning the worst division in sports. I'm more focused on getting into the postseason. I'm more interested in getting just to the parking lot, not to the dance. I just want to get to the parking lot. I want to get my tickets. I mean, I haven't even taken off my coat. We haven't checked my bag yet. That's where I'm trying to get to. And then after that, we can build it. So let's build this one step at a time. Let's make sure we do things the right way. And let's be smart about this. Stop spending ridiculous money. Stop pushing off contracts. Stop kicking the can down the road. Just make the tough decisions now and benefit the team for the long run. Because I'm sorry, Derek Carr, thanks for everything. Quite frankly, not many people are going to think much about Derek Carr after a few years. People are just going to kind of forget about him. And then same thing with Andy Dalton. People forget about Andy Dalton being the Saints quarterback for a season. Move on to the next guy, and that'll be the guy. I think that's where we're at this point. So I think it's better for the long term, or for the team in the long run, to just move on from Derek Carr. That's my personal opinion. If you disagree with me, that's totally fine. This is your chance to share your thoughts. What would you do with Derek Carr? It's your turn to be the GM, be the head coach. Get in the comment section and sound off. I'll be replying to all of y'all down in the comments. And then also, while you're down there, if you guys wanted to check out my full takeaways video from the Kellen Moore press conference, this is the thumbnail. I have it linked in the comments and description of this video as well. But if you just go to the channel, this is the thumbnail for it. You'll be able to see it pretty easily. It's like 2 videos back, I believe, because we did like 3 videos yesterday. So 2 videos back. Just go find it. You'll absolutely love this video. A lot of really good information and good nuggets in this one. Saints fans, y'all stay golden. Happy Valentine's Day. Hope you guys have a wonderful day with you and your significant others. Y'all stay golden. Be safe. We'll see you next time.